Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Childhood Finds. Thank you for joining for the weekly What Sold video. We are officially caught up now, so I will get back into the routine of doing these every week. During the fourth quarter, if it gets crazy in sales, I will do 2 a week, but I'm just going to play that by ear. And the sales this week are going to be for September 22nd through the 28th, and it's 2025. There are 72 sales that I had across 4 different platforms, and I'll show you some of those here in a moment. I did not list as much as I typically do. I am hitting the ground running this week, though, to improve that because now that fourth quarter is tomorrow, I want to make sure that I make this the best fourth quarter I've ever had. My goal for the next 3 months is to officially get out of debt. And if I have an amazing fourth quarter, I can do it. I will keep you guys updated on how that's going, just as a little extra. So currently, I have paid off a lot of the debt, and I'm now at about 13,000 I have to pay out. And that, again, it's embarrassing to say, but it's just something that happens sometimes. And I'm good with money, but life happened during those times. And so you just have to do what you got to do. So now I am working on paying that off. And the goal is to never have that kind of debt again. I have lots of plans in place to have more streams of income so that I never have to worry about that again. So I am going to try to pay that off this year. And I'm telling you guys so that it keeps me honest and keeps me focused and on track for it. So I have about 3 months. And that is a super lofty goal. But honestly, if I kick my butt in gear and work really hard on YouTube and work really hard on my reselling, I can do it and then finally hit the financial freedom that I want to hit. So let me know, what are your guys' goals for fourth quarter? What do you want to do? Do you want to try and, sell 20% more than you usually do? That's, kind of specific, but what are your goals for fourth quarter? Is there something you want to do? Like, do you want to make enough to take a vacation next year? Do you want to make enough to make an extra payment on your house? Things like that. Let me know in the comments, what are your goals for fourth quarter of reselling this year? And I just love to hear them. It's fun to be able to support each other. That's what I really want to do on this channel. And so the sales were 67 of them were on eBay, 1 was on Depop, 3 on Etsy, and 1 on Poshmark. And then my listing, so all of the sales on eBay were about $2,700 gross in sales, and I listed only 53 items. I am disappointed in myself about that, but I did work more on getting ideas ready for YouTube, and I worked on my dog's channel for their YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and things. So I worked really hard on getting that going because my goal is just to be able to maybe get them monetized on at least one platform and make a few extra bucks to get them some extra fun things. That's really the goal for that channel, is just to be able to get them nice things. But I listed 53 items, and that totaled out to about $1,800 worth of listings. But I am using it as motivation that this week I am already hitting the ground running, and hopefully will be doing better on my listings. I want to make sure I hit my listings every week for the next couple months because this is the most important time of the year for a reseller, typically, because of what I sell. I sell things that could be more popular during Christmas time. Sometimes, things like clothing and shoe sellers, they might not see as much of an influx just because those are items that people want year round. So their sales are typically more consistent. But I'm an everything seller, so usually fourth quarter I get a bump. So now we're going to get into sharing some sales with you. There's some good ones. I will say the other things I'm doing to get ready for fourth quarter is I have ordered quite a bit of packing supplies. So definitely, guys, think about your packing supplies. If you have an eBay store, today is your last day to use that quarterly coupon, and then tomorrow you'll be able to use the new quarterly coupon. So really make sure you get that packing supplies because it can be a little harder and slower to get to you as time goes on during fourth quarter, and you might just run out. Speaking from experience, guys. So let's go ahead and get started in some sales. This first one is a Canton Racing mounting clamp steel for two-third quart AccuSump. Luckily, Google, and it said it on there. And this sold for $30 on a best offer. Then this one is a ribbon poinsettia ivory damask tablecloth. It's oblong and it's 60 by 120 inches. And it sold for a best offer of $19 since we are going into that holiday season. This I just got, and it's a vintage Chantilly dusting powder 5 ounce. It was new but without the box, and it sold for a best offer of $25. This one was really cool. This came out of my big manual buy, and the cool thing about it is I paid $100 for my manual buy, and this basically paid for all of it. I mean, I've made plenty off of it already, but it's really amazing when you find one item that will pay for a whole buy. That doesn't happen a lot. And this is a 1936 Oldsmobile 6 and 8 dealer salesman data book merchandising. That's why it was so cool. Is this is what they carried around in 1936 for these vehicles for selling them. And it sold for a best offer of $120 very quickly. I only found one other example of this piece, and this one was in immaculate condition. And here's another one from the manual buy, and this is a Buick Master Body Parts book, models 1930 to 1955, and this did sell for a 10% off, and it was around 53-ish dollars. Every time I have these big buys, I just always think about how I'll never be able to, find another like it. It's so cool to be able to experience the different things. I loved the yarn buy, and the manual buy was really cool. And I've had some other great ones like a Furby and Polly Pocket. That's what I'm always searching for, is just to be able to. I love collections because they're just so fun to sort through. And this is a rhinestone jeweled Fox Airedale Terrier hinged trinket box, and it sold for $24.95 very quickly. This is a 1954 Holy Bible New Catholic Edition illustrated black genuine leather, and it sold for the $25. I just got this at an estate sale for a couple of bucks, and I think I paid $3 for that trinket box. These I picked up at Salvation Army for $1 a piece. They also sold for a 10% off, and this is Soe, I don't know, Rose Refining Hydra Collagen Cream Moisture Hydrating Lot of 2, and they sold pretty quickly after getting them listed. 2 into 15 or so isn't, I'm totally fine with that because these were easy, brand new. Then this is another Bible I got recently. I go through the phases. As I've always said on this channel, you go through phases of finding items. I haven't found Bibles in months and months, and then just recently I found quite a few nice ones and sold a bunch this week and the last week. I'm not even showing you all the ones I sold this week. And this one is a Holy Bible, Book of Mormon, Doctrine, Covenant, Pearl of Great Price, leather. They usually call these quads as well. And this one sold for $24.95. I have not found this one in probably a year or two. They used to sell for around $35 to $40, but the price has definitely gone down. This is a Franklin Library Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and it sold for a best offer of, I believe it was $23. And it's just a basic hardcover. This I just got at a Savers, and it's Civil War 25th Anniversary Edition Blu-ray disc Ken Burns. And this is why I look up sealed media. You can usually tell if it's not going to be worth something because, the really common ones, like if you see Braveheart out there, things like that, Harry Potter, those typically aren't going to sell for a lot. But sometimes the different ones will. And this sold quickly for $30. This I just got at a mini estate sale, and it's a genuine HP LaserJet black toner cartridge. This was under a table, and I was standing in line and saw it. So that was very exciting because this paid for everything I bought there, and it sold for $72.95. And this is one of those items that if you price it well, it will sell within a day or two. This is Toll Laufer Magnum Satin Stainless Japan Flatware, and it's 4 teaspoons, sold the same day for $70 for 4 teaspoons, and I just picked these up at a Savers. It's one of those ones that I've found it one other time before, and they always sell really fast. This is a study Bible, Zondervan black bonded leather, and it sold for $24.95. It was pretty much in new condition. It just had some fading on the cover, but no writing or highlighting inside of it. But 25 was a good price. And I got it for, I believe it was $1 at an estate sale. This is an Oldsmobile 1963 Parts and Accessories Catalog Chassis Edition, and it sold for a best offer of, it was $40 or $50, one or the other. But either one was a win because I would say I have about $1 into all of my manual buy listings. This is a Disney Store Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest Davy Jones 7-inch figure. This is one of those items that I have probably sent out 100 or plus more offers on it, and it sold for full price for $49.95. It took probably 5 to 6 months to sell, but that's why sometimes you have to wait for the right buyer, because I've probably sent out a couple hundred offers on this item of varying degrees, and yeah, just sold for full price, no sale or anything. This is Oneida Cube Damask Rose Stainless Flatware Serving Set, and this sold for 10% off offer, around $49-ish. And this one, I will say to make sure that when you are listing these kind of lots, put in the description that it does include all of the items, because I actually got multiple questions before I changed it asking if it included all these, because I didn't list all of them in the title because, well, I didn't have room. But just make it clear in the listing description that I always just say everything shown in the photos will be included in the lot, just to ease a buyer's mind that, you know, they're not just getting the pie server or something. This is Doctor Who, the complete second, third, and fourth DVD lot, and they were all sealed for $24.95. It sold. This one took it's probably been almost a year. I bought a whole bunch of sealed media last year at an estate sale for $1 a piece, and this is one of the last bits left. I have a little bit more, but it's probably been about a year now. This one was a huge surprise. It was a Sony Discman for a car, and it was in the box, but the box is beat to smithereens. And so I was opening it up, checking everything that was in there, and it pretty much had everything in there, but it also had this extra stuff that I realized didn't come with the original kit that I had. And so I just looked it up just on a whim to see if this was worth selling separately. And oh boy, was it. It's a Sony Discman remote control and Sony remote sensor. I put very clearly, this is not tested. I listed it in the 4 parts and not working. I described everything in the description about that, you know, the battery compartment's clean, everything's clean, but I do not guarantee this will work. I have no idea, and I'm not going to try to test it. And it sold for a 10% off offer, around $112 in a couple of days. So definitely look up remotes. Remotes are definitely something I do check, but it's not something I am specialized in, so I'm not perfect at them or finding them, and I tend to look over them still. But it's a market that there can be some big surprises in there. Sleep Number bed remotes can be quite a bit. That's just one to keep in mind. But yeah, $112. And this is Department 56 Gumdrop Treetop North Pole Christmas Village, and it sold for 10% off of this $42.95. You keep hearing me say that. I send out offers every day for 10% or more. Usually I stick around 10%, and I do 10% off offers on a ton of my listings every day. And I do that even when there's sales running as well. Sometimes I won't do some of the items depending on what they are, but I just want to get items moving and sending out those offers. I have people pretty often take advantage of them. Sure, in the scheme of things, it's probably only 2 to 5. It's probably about 5% that take up on the offer, but that's worth it because it doesn't take very long to send them out. This is Gloria Vanderbilt Amanda Supreme Stretch Tapered Leg Women's 24 long tags, and this is a horrible picture. These have been listed for quite a long time because, well, the pictures are terrible, but it sold for $21.95 finally. This is a Braun Series 9 Sport Shaver Black Charging Station Case Manuals, and this sold within a day or two after listing for $84.95. I just got this at a rummage sale for $5. It had the box, but the box was like silly sized, so I just got rid of all of that and sold it like this. This is a Bruce Springsteen The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, and it sold for $9.95. I just don't sell very many records anymore, so I want to share them when I do. This is doTERRA Salon Essentials Root to Tip Hair Serum, and it was sealed. I just got this at an estate sale for $3, and I was surprised it was still there because doTERRA products, when they are sealed, can sell very well, and it sold for $35 on an offer. This is mid-century modern brass cat figurine, Siamese sculpture, animal, mid-century modern pair. All the keywords with that. Brass is one of those that I try to put as much keywords as possible, because otherwise you're just like pair of brass cats, and that might not get you seen as much. So I just put in a whole bunch of keywords, and these sold for a 10% off offer as well. I did pay up for those at $10 for an estate sale, but brass is one of my weaknesses, so I was fine doing that. These I paid up for here. It's a Babyliss Pro FX3 Ferrari Pro High Torque cordless clipper, and I got 4 of them total, and I paid $25 for each of them, so $100 total for all of them. And that's definitely way more than I typically would pay for an item, but this one sold for around $59 or so on a 10% off offer. And so even after fees, I'm still going to be making $25 on it, and it's a multi-quantity listing, so I'm not making as much as I would maybe on other items, but I'm still going to double my money, and it's a multi-quantity listing. They're brand new sealed. It took me no time to list them, so that was worth it for me. That's what I'm trying to do more of this year, is being able to pay a little more for items, because that would have been $100 of profit I missed out on the previous years, because I absolutely would have not have bought that in previous years. I would have left all 4 of those behind, and that would have missed $100 profit. So that's something to consider. This is Sesame Street One Hat Wonder, Ernie, Cookie Monster, Big Bird, Elmo. It was a lot of 5. I got these at an estate sale probably 6+ months ago, but I paid like $1 or $2 for all of them, and they finally sold for best offer of $25. This is Undine by Delamat. I don't want to say that because that probably could sound like a bad word if I say it. Antique hardcover, $18.93. And this one was a surprising one. It's a very petite little book, and it still sold for $49.95. It took probably 3 to 4 months to sell, but it sold quick for that $50 considering. This is a Fujifilm Fine Pix AX series, AX300, 14 megapixels. This isn't one of the brands, like the Canons and the Sony Cybershots that sell for hundreds. But this is still one that's desirable. It sold for $44.95, and I'd say it took 3 to 4 days to sell it with how I priced it. I'm pricing a lot more aggressively as well lately, because I do have that goal of paying off debt, that I just figure the sooner I get that debt paid off, the sooner I get freedom, because I can easily live off of what I make every month, even in my slower months, if I don't have that extra debt looming over me. So that's why it's so important to me that even if I'm selling things for, not absolute retail, that I get that money, because it will set me up for the future. This is a Vitality Extract Skin Envy Pure Essential Oil Blend with Dropper, and this sold for best offer of $22. I just got this at an estate sale, and I was incredibly surprised I found these there still. I was there an hour after opening. I will say I think he gave me a better deal at the estate sale because I was nice. So I'll admit, their prices at this estate sale were lofty. They were lofty prices. But there are still some deals to be had if you kind of had an idea of what you were looking for. And I looked at the books, the plush, and then I went and looked in the bathroom, and I actually found this and quite a bit of other makeup that, even though it wasn't super high end, it was still something I could make money off of. And unfortunately, their pricing also was difficult because they didn't have all the prices marked. So when you would compare it to their other lofty prices, you would be kind of stressed out because you didn't know how much they were going to ask. So I just took a chance, and I made a little bucket of the makeup and beauty products like this, and 2 other plush that I had found, and just took it up there. And why I say think I got a better deal is everybody was just absolutely having a meltdown, because I'll admit they did not plan the best, because there was only one person checking out. And the problem with that was not everything was priced. So then they had to take the time to price things, have people fight over prices while they're up at the check stand, and it took a long time. I was in line for 40 minutes with my stuff. So I get why people were upset. But when I got up there, I killed with kindness and I was just very nice and chatted with them. And, I still paid a decent, not like pennies on the dollar, but I do think I got a better shot at it because I took a breath. You know what? They're an estate sale company that they are still very new and they're figuring out their rhythm and what works. And you just win more. It doesn't pay. It doesn't hurt to be nice. So even if I wasn't getting anything out of it, I still would have been nice because there's no point to be mean. It doesn't get you any further in life. It doesn't get you anything more in the long run. So I was just nice. And so I paid $1 to $5 for all the cosmetic-y stuff he said. And after it was all said and done, my price ended up being a little less than $3 for everything I picked up there, for each item. And that was absolutely great because the couple plush I got were worth $50 together. And then I got all this makeup stuff where I ended up paying like $84 for everything. And this one sold for $22. So it was worth it to be nice. The long story short, right? This I just got recently from my source, and it's a Hosung plush monkey Joey hand puppet brown chimp. And this one was from 1992 and sold for $19.95. And I haven't seen them with the tag before, and this one was just in beautiful condition and sold quickly to an international buyer. This I'm showing you the listing as it's ended because it actually sold on Depop, but I again deleted the listing on Depop because when I go and end them on List Perfectly, it takes away the listing. It doesn't take away the sale, but it takes away the listing to view, and I forget to not do that. But this is Jellycat, Fuddle Wuddle Cat, 9-inch brown, tan, white plush stuffed animal. And I can't believe I found this at the Goodwill because 99% of the time when I find Jellycat at my Goodwills now, they are priced up because they are popular. But this one wasn't. I think I paid $3 and it sold for $40 almost instantly after I cross-listed it on Depop. That is why the more pop culture and more trendy things are so important to put on Depop because they can sell very well there. But again, my sales on Depop have been pretty pitiful. But what I do with my Depop sales is all of them go directly into my high yield savings account. And I just put it into savings. So I don't even look at the money that I'm getting for Depop. So that's what I do with it. So even though I don't get a lot of sales, it's a little tiny boost to my savings when I do get them. This here is a brass duck head wall mount key rack holder, and this sold for $18.95. And on Etsy, I will say on Etsy again, I am working on cross-listing more. Last week I did more cross-listing, and this week I'm working on it more because on Etsy, I would say every single item I sold for more than I would have on eBay. I do have one thing that I do is on Etsy, I have it set up that if you like the item, you automatically get a 10% off offer. Not all of these sold for 10% off, but I think one or two of them did. But I will say that some of the items you can price a little more on Etsy, and I have actually never gotten an offer. I don't know if they can send offers on Etsy. I don't know what the method is, but all of my items have sold for full price besides that 10% off offer on Etsy, and that's just really nice. This is a brass eagle bird in flight on base, animal decor, vintage in flight, 10-inch tall. This was sitting in my dev pile. I'd found it when I was going through my garage, and I've probably had it for a couple of years, and I finally listed it, and it sold for full price of $28.95. And they're not selling for a ton more than on eBay. I think I had that eagle listed for $25, and the hook holder I had set for $15. So it's not a ton more, but it's still more, and the fees are less, I believe, on Etsy than eBay. At least marginally a bit less. And this is a Christopher Radko glass Christmas ornament Big Apple Tour New York City, and it sold for $32.95, and I had it listed for $29.95 on eBay. So everybody, that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will have a haul video out this week, and then I'm planning a hopefully research video for the week after this one. So guys, I will see you for those videos.